Annie Flask. I am the chair of Waterwise. I've been the chair now for just over a year, thoroughly enjoying it. Waterwise is an incredible organisation. I'm very, very glad to be here. So without further ado, I would like to ask the first speaker to come up, which is Dawn Crichton, Head of Customer Strategy and Experience at Northumbrian Water Group. Just to also say that a huge thank you as well to Northumbrian Water, who have always been such active supporters of what we do and have actually sponsored today's event. So perhaps a little round of applause for them.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today, especially alongside such a fantastic lineup of speakers. Northumbrian Water Group are sponsoring the UK Water Efficiency Strategy launch, basically because we believe collaboration is key to success of the UK ambition to reduce water use over the long term, and this is not time for siloed thinking or siloed action. So we're really pleased to have played an active role through the steering group in creating and shaping this strategy for 2030, and we're even more excited to actively support its execution as we move forward. Development of the new strategy gives a clear direction for the UK for now and the longer term. And we're delighted that the strategy, through its 10 strategic objectives, also shows real ambition. The strategy also provides a clear statement of intent by all involved to tackle the challenges and capitalise on the opportunities that exist. Concerted action together will eliminate duplication of effort, ensure shared learning, and increase collaboration and improved outcomes for the environment and for all of our customers. We've already seen great success from the original strategy and the delivery of that, and now more than ever we need to have a clear national plan. So across the summer, water demand and supply, as well as our PCC and water efficiency work, has been a huge focus for us all at Northumbrian Water. Anyone else here from a water company perspective, I absolutely assume it's been the same. It's taken a lot of work. Working across directorates to manage the dry weather provided a great opportunity for building stronger relationships internally, with our customer, water and comms directorates all working in lockstep with each other to make sure we delivered what was necessary. Collaboration with other water companies on local messaging was also a positive learning point and saw a strengthening of intercompany engagement. The clear and immediate need to think more and think differently was also presenting opportunities for future, including standardised messaging for the benefit of all. This focus and these activities together have shown how quickly water becomes important in the public consciousness, but similarly on the flip, the challenge that we face as people's behaviour and public discussion dramatically and quickly returns to normal when the rains return. You might not think rains are returning today, it's beautiful. Impacts of drought across the UK remind us again that water efficiency is important for all regions. It's not just an issue for the South East. So that means that, simply put, there is an imperative to work together. Northumbrian Water and other water companies will all play their part, and water companies must continue to step up. However, we must be clear, and the strategy makes this point brilliantly, that the challenge is there for all parties and that everyone needs to play their part. Government is supporting our ambitions, and this must continue in order to realise the full benefits of policy change. Regulators must dedicate time to the longer term, ensuring the appropriate assessment and incentives are in place to achieve the environmental improvements that are required. But also, let's continue to grow the diversity of voices that we've heard, that are involved. Let's provide new direction and contributions. Let's also keep sharing existing knowledges. New successes and failures will cause fast improvement and fast learning. There's more that needs to be done, and we can learn from this. So, Northumbrian Water welcome the new water efficiency strategy and look forward to playing a key role in the support of its delivery. Thank you very much.
We now welcome Daniel Johns. I'm sure needs no introduction to many in the audience here, as playing a pivotal role for the last 3.5 years, is that right? As chair of the Water Efficiency Strategy Steering Group. So, first role at Anglian Water, and more recently he's now MD of Water Resources East as well. So I'll welcome you to the stage and project.
Thank you very much. So this is an easy job really, because today is my last day. In fact, I chaired my last meeting this morning of the Water Efficiency Strategy Steering Group. That 3.5 years has flown, let's face it. There's been quite a few challenges for us all in that period. But it's been one of the most pleasurable aspects of my job, first at Anglian Water and more recently at Water Resources East, because it's rare to find such a kind of group of kind of passionate, talented, energetic people, passionately involved and dedicated to reducing water consumption within the UK. And worth reflecting, this isn't an English-centric group. This is a water strategy group for the whole UK, with members drawn from across the four corners of the United Kingdom. Also, not just about water sector representatives, but from industry more generally, from regulators with support from government, from academia, from government advisors. And just first say that, how much it's been so important to the group's work that we have had that support from regulators and to the government. So just to kind of pay respect and kind of to appreciate and send gratitude to government and regulators, even though Liz is here today, of course, with Angela, but Ofwat and DEFRA can't be here today. And also just a shout out to the Consumer Council for Water, who've been on the strategy steering group from the outset. And a job that's been made very simple from the kind of talented team working to support the group behind the scenes. So Jo, most recently, Olivia Dareheath before her, of course supported by Nathan, and Nikki driving things from behind the scenes. And again, just a shout out to the whole Waterwise team. It's been such a simple process. Meetings are run so efficiently. It's just been a very, very simple job for me to take on. And over those 3.5 years, we've made real progress. Of course, everyone would like to be further forward with water demand management. Everyone would like to see a more ambitious Environment Act target focused on water savings. But just to reflect on some of the roles that we have taken within the strategy steering group and the progress we've made. Firstly, on water labelling. It's fantastic to see DEFRA consult finally on a mandatory water label just in the last couple of weeks. Again, not as ambitious as we would like to see it, but certainly a step in the right direction. And it was the strategy steering group and the collaborative fund funded by water company members of that group that paid for the evidence base, delivered by the Energy Savings Trust, that basically made the case really clearly for why a water label is one of the most fundamental building blocks that you need to reduce water consumption within the UK. Not just for the household sector, but for the non-household sector too. Building regulations, similarly, we still anticipate and we await the roadmap towards tighter building regulations for water consumption from government, which we hope will still be published this year. But again, the work of the strategy steering group has been fundamental to making the case to government for making sure that new homes make their contribution toward the water saving targets that we all want to see achieved by 2050. And also a task and finish group that's been focused on reinvigorating the argument in favour of water neutral new homes. Nutrient neutrality has really hit the headlines in recent months, but it's not a concept that we invented, but certainly we reinvigorated about a year or so ago through a task and finish group, through a piece of work again funded by the Collaborative Fund. And obviously, depending on how far the government goes with building regulations itself, that could well be overtaken by the need for water neutral new homes across the country. Hardly a meeting ever goes by, I don't think, in fact, there has been a meeting where leaky loos and the confusion caused by dual flush buttons hasn't been discussed. And again, driven by Andrew and Alison, real progress made with the Bathroom Manufacturers Association, with product manufacturers individually on trying to design the problem out, make those buttons readily discernible as they need to be under the regulations, and to take the worst offending products off the leaky loo market. And of course, who can forget the Costing the Earth special, and Tom Heap as presenter also taking part in one of the sessions that I chaired at the Waterwise conference. And it was probably my career highlight to date, launching the leaky loo position statement at the Waterwise conference just a couple of years ago. So I mentioned the Environment Act targets, still work in progress, but clearly the voice of the strategy steering group of Waterwise with water company members is really key to make sure that target is as ambitious as it can be, dropping the per capita element because it just puts the risk of population growth onto the environment when it's the environment we're trying to save through that target being adopted. So hopefully when the final proposals come out from the DEFRA later this year, it will be a really, really ambitious target based on distribution inputs, and easy thing to measure and track over time. So I thought just to conclude on reflecting on the current situation, reflecting the fact that we are within one of the deepest droughts this country has ever seen. Andrew was saying earlier, certainly for Thames Water, it's just off the chart. It's just not seen an unprecedented level of both demand spiking during the summer, but also the extended period of dry weather that we have seen. In the same way that the cost of living crisis should drive the government towards energy efficiency, the unprecedented drought conditions should drive the government forward toward water consumption reduction. And so we'd like to see both the Environment Act target being accelerated, we'd like to see the timetable for water labelling accelerated, and we want to see that roadmap for building regulations brought forward as soon as it possibly can. So I'm excited. I'm sad to be stepping down as chair, but I'm excited to see how the steering group and the forum that will come from the steering group becoming even more influential, particularly under Sarah's leadership. The fact that there needs to be that strong voice, supported by Waterwise, championing the need to reduce water consumption across sectors, and that part that everyone needs to play in this process. It's not just for water companies, but it is for water companies. It's not just for government, but it is for government to take steps. Regulators too, water retailers as well as water wholesalers. So I'm excited to see how Sarah takes this group forward and to see the strategy launched today being delivered in practice. So thank you very much.
Thank you to Daniel and also to the team, I think many of whom are in the room, who have worked tirelessly since the 2017 strategy was produced to drive the water efficiency agenda forward. There has been great progress in many areas, some of which Daniel has highlighted. But as we've all seen this summer, and we heard very clearly from Dawn, there is still so much more to do. So I've been delighted to have been asked to take on this role of chair of this important senior group. With the challenges we're currently facing in the UK, with climate change, with drought, with population growth, it's essential that we all take action. Action as individuals, as small businesses, as major corporations, but as Daniel said, also as regulators and as central government. So I'm very pleased to be taking on this role, bringing together my 24 years experience in a water company and more recently in the non-household market, really to help ensure and drive that all customers are part of developing the solutions. It's very easy to look at the problems, but how do we ensure that all customers, whether they're domestic or business customers, can help us develop solutions to secure water supplies both now and into the future. I was really impressed looking at the consultation response for the strategy, demonstrating a real degree of energy, and I heard it when I came in here today. There's a real energy and enthusiasm from right across the industry to make a real difference and to drive that change. I believe it's really important that we capitalise on this moment when there is such heightened awareness of water usage and of the current water scarcity challenges. The involvement of a broad range of organisations is for me what is unique about this group and what is its power to drive things forward. Just looking at the range of different groups represented in the room here today. And I look forward to working very closely with Waterwise colleagues and with all its stakeholders to promote the importance of water efficiency and to put the ambitions in the strategy into actions. If any of you who are currently involved in the room want to be part of that and part of delivering these objectives, trip on my own words, please let either me or any colleagues wearing a blue lanyard in the room know. But I just wanted to finish on a reflection that never in my 28 years in the water sector has the water industry been so high on both the public and the political agenda, or the challenges so acute. So I really believe now is the time to use this public attention to move the water efficiency agenda forward. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you, Sarah. So the strategy will only succeed when we have everyone's concerted effort, and particularly practitioners in the water efficiency area working together, many of whom are actually in the room today. So we're pleased to welcome to the stage one of the newer faces in the water efficiency agenda, and someone who will be playing a key part in the research and the progress to 2030. So raring to go. Joe Cahill is a social science researcher, is currently working with the Waterwise affiliate Artesia and University of Manchester, I believe, as well.
Yes.
And you will give your personal reflections on the strategy and the future of water efficiency. So welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Tony. Big thanks. And thank you, Joe and Nikki, for the invite today. I was quite taken aback when they asked me, as someone very early in the career in the water efficiency sector. But I'm going to start today as a social science researcher and a young person, someone who's early in the career in water efficiency, and what I would like to see change by sort of 2030. So first of all, sort of as a social science researcher, I'd like to see greater innovation and transparency in the kind of water use data that we not only collect, but how we use it in our day-to-day. And what I mean by that is we use smart meter data and consumption data, but we also identify other sets and resources of data that we could use in our day-to-day. And this could include sort of qualitative and mixed methods data, because we really need to get a grip and understand how exactly different communities use water, how they use it in their household, and how this differs and how different things influence this. Some new social trends, you know, the pandemic, routines, work patterns, children, school, etc. They all combine to influence how people use water and how people lead water efficient lives. By 2030, I'd like to see more shared responsibility for water efficiency. And I really think this is one of the biggest points that I've seen in my sort of 2 years in the industry. Put simply, this responsibility is not just with households and water efficiency managers. I'd like to see all organisations and actors involved in the consumption of water driven to achieve water efficiency. And by this, I don't just mean plumbers, fitters, product designers, but I mean the retailers that sell water products like hot tubs. I mean the personal care product manufacturers, you know, L'Oreal, Boots, etc. Health bodies, gardening organisations. All of those have a role in how people consume water in their day-to-day. They're often trusted knowledge holders whom communities and households go to for advice on this topic. They might not necessarily go to the water company for such advice. I believe that water efficiency labelling is a fantastic start to this. It could be a catalyst to think through how we can increase this shared responsibility across society for water efficiency, and how we can give stakeholders the tools to drive change. Again, as a social scientist practitioner, I see water consumption not as something which sits in isolation. It's often bound up with wider resource consumption, energy being the most prevalent. This use of water and wider resources are often byproducts of people's everyday lives and routines. It's often something they don't even consider consciously. They just get on with the day-to-day and what is used in that. Therefore, by 2030 and beyond, I'd like to see connected approaches to not just water efficiency, but resource use more broadly, and the push to help people lead more sustainable lives. Climate change, resource depletion, drought, the list goes on, are complex issues for practitioners and households alike. Greater connections across industry could allow for smarter approaches to water efficiency, but we target multiple issues via single strategies. For example, a whole building approach to retrofit, which joins up energy, water use and waste saving, something I was very pleased to see in the strategy. This would help the UK achieve our wider goals of net zero, our sustainable development commitments, energy and water security. Finally, and this is something that I really want to end on and emphasise, as someone who's grown up with the climate crisis at the forefront of their life, I really see the generational anxiety across my peers of the future that we will lead and the climate emergency we will be left with. My big hope that as practitioners and as a member of Generation Z is that water efficiency is reframed to something we embed across and throughout our lives. I want it to become a positive and resilient choice, something so subconscious to households that they don't even consider it. I'd love to see the water stay in our rivers and that we ensure that the taps keep going for generations to come. I believe that this strategy that we're here today for provides the foundations to create this future and a world where my generation have water to go forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanya. At the start of my notes it says, wow, you won't be surprised to hear that. My role here today is as chief cheerleader with a little bit of challenge, which is generally speaking my role. It's so exciting to be here with all of you, passionate advocates of water efficiency, helping us to launch this strategy. And lots of familiar faces, but lots of new faces too, and how inspiring to hear Joe's manifesto there. Really important to link back to actually what we're trying to deliver and for whom. So I'm here to encourage all of you to be personal champions of the strategy, and I'll say a bit more about that in a minute, but first a few thank yous. Thank you again to Northumbrian for sponsoring this event. Thank you to all our Waterwise supporters and affiliates. We can't do our work without you. We literally can't. We're a not-for-profit. We need money to cover our staff time, and we're incredibly grateful to all of you because you enable us to drive this agenda. Thank you to the Water Efficiency Strategy Steering Group members, and particularly the Task and Finish Group that worked really closely with us to develop the strategy. Thank you to my team. Those of you that know me will know how proud I am of my team. I'm particularly grateful to Joe and Nathan, and Laura had a role in the strategy as well, to Stella today for the event. But it's actually been a whole team production, this strategy. So thank you to the team. And thank you to my fabulous Waterwise board, many of whom are here today. So Waterwise board, put your hands up now, please. Scattered strategically across the room. And again, huge support. They are all passionate advocates of water efficiency. So it's my exciting job now to unveil the new UK Water Efficiency Strategy to 2030. Hopefully you've all got one of these fabulous documents. And you will be hopefully familiar with the vision and the strategic objectives. I'm super excited about all of these, not least because they've been co-created. My particular favourite, if I'm allowed to have one, is this one here, that water efficiency advice and support is inclusive. That's new, and we're really passionate about that at Waterwise, and Joe talked about that too, bringing new voices in. What a blueprint I've written down here, and I genuinely believe this. Government are constantly still asking us this question, what more do we need to do? And we're like, oh, do this. We've just spent a year developing it, 70 organisations have been involved in it, we've got the answers right here. So it's going to be really powerful, and as Dawn said, wow, now more than ever needed after the summer that we've had. But as we all know, it's not just about this summer, it's right across the UK, and it's right here, right now, not just in the future. So I wanted to challenge all of you to take a couple of the postcards that are dotted around the room and think of a couple of people that you might want to bring into the conversation over time and present them with these postcards, bring people in. What we want to do is extend the conversation. I also wanted to just say that, just remind you, as Daniel said, this strategy is a UK strategy. So this is a launch in England. We'll also be having launches in Wales and Scotland and potentially in Northern Ireland as well. And a shout out to Sophia from Business Stream, who's come all the way from Scotland for this event, and we're really grateful for all of Business Stream's support for Waterwise and for water efficiency. Those of you that haven't put a post-it note on the pledge wall, please do commit before you leave today to an action that you're going to take forward personally, and also write up if you need Waterwise to support you with that, and we'll be in touch. Now I'm going to say thank you to Daniel. And I haven't actually written much here because I thought I'd just do it from the heart. I introduced Daniel to Tanya earlier and I said Daniel's been a fantastic, passionate advocate of water efficiency, and that he and I together speak truth to power, and then we WhatsApp each other and say, well done, that was great. So he's been a brilliant, just a brilliant advocate and a great, very inclusive chair of meetings. We have a little gift for you, so if you'd like to come up to the stage. recycled from landfill. Daniel's a keen cyclist. And he's a badass. Yes.
Brilliant.
And it's made from all sorts. I'll tell you all sorts of things it's made from.
Yeah.
Including seatbelts. Also on the way is a Waterwise mug with your name on it. Didn't quite arrive in time. We'll send it to you because you're an honorary member of the Waterwise family now.
Oh, thank you so much.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's your packaging.
Thank you.
So two last things. You'll be pleased to know that I am the last speaker. Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you to all of you for coming. And I want to leave you with a message and a challenge of inclusion. So it's incumbent on all of us to champion this strategy to wider audiences. Waterwise is really committed to diversity and inclusion, and we're trying to do more on this and to really walk the walk as well as talk the talk. The strategy commits to it, so I'd like to challenge all of you to think about who's not in this conversation, and there are some probably quite obvious answers to that, but also some that we might need to think about a bit more, and take it upon yourself to bring them into this conversation so that this really is a strategy for everybody. And thank you very much again. I'll hand back to Tanya.